Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the news you missed. Today is the 11th of September, 2025, and we need to start this show with a message from Charlie Ward himself. And I'm just going to read this out now. Charlie Kirk, our hearts go out to Charlie's wife Erica and his two children. Charlie was a true warrior and has gone to be with his maker. Thank God for warriors like Charlie. Our thoughts and prayers must be with his family at this difficult time. And I'm reading this out because unfortunately Charlie's voice is struggling at the moment. But I can't even begin to start with talking about what has happened yesterday. And I'm going to pass over to Warren Thornton here because I went to bed just finding out Charlie Kirk had passed away, and I've woken up to all sorts of information. So Warren, hello. I'm going to pass straight
Right.
over to you to give us the latest update on what is happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I just also add my condolences to his family? And even though Charlie has lost his voice, he's put out a message I absolutely concur with. And both Charlie Ward and Charlie Kirk, their voices will never be silenced. And for what Charlie Kirk did for the youth of America, God bless you. Um, so let's try and do this as dispassionately and as gently as humanly possible. Charlie Kirk was killed while speaking at an event at a campus. The shot that was taken from over 200 yards, around 200 yards away, ricocheted off the bulletproof vest and into his throat. Having watched that, and obviously having been a former sniper for many years, I pretty much knew instantly that that was that, having seen enough of that sort of thing. And of course, our hearts and prayers go out to everybody connected, and to also all the people who were at the event who are going to be traumatized by this. Do not let that stop you fighting for everything that Charlie Kirk fought for. Now, very simply, Paul, I am going to put this forward as a former sniper. We are not looking for a professional here. Okay, let me make that absolutely clear, so that everybody can calm down a little and start to look at this as a professional would. Now, a professional would not go for a heart shot. He would go for a headshot, a sitting target from 200 yards away. If you are a professional, you would go straight through, and that, as awful as this sounds, but you actually aim for the throat to go through the back or through the eye socket, to take away the brainstem, because you know full well that that is the end of the game. You certainly wouldn't go for a heart shot. One, it's a smaller target, and two, you don't know if they're wearing body armor. Now, at the moment, the person who carried out the shot is still at large, and there are many things going on, Paul. People saying all sorts of things, and of course, what does remain is the fact that Charlie leaves a young wife and two children, but the shooter is at large. In my professional opinion, as a former sniper, I would tell you this is not a professional. You are probably looking for some sort of deranged lunatic who has a grievance against Charlie Kirk. I would start looking at the gun clubs and gun ranges where people have been practicing left, right, and centre, and also the purchases of the firearms to track down exactly who did this.
Thank you, Warren. And the information that we have at hand right here, right now, and you will have to excuse me, everybody, because this has taken me as complete shock. The person they arrested on site has been questioned and released. There has been videos released of somebody in a black outfit on the roof of a nearby building, and it can be seen running away straight after. Candice Owens is frantically searching for information on a private jet that took off from an airport about an hour later, that then turned off its transponder and disappeared. So any information out there that people can provide will be fantastic. Candice is a very close friend of Charlie Kirk and is absolutely in bits over this. The other strange thing we need to talk about is the shot took place just after a debate he was having on mass shootings. That is very sad in itself. What else is absolutely flabbergasting me is there have been 5 assassination attempts within the space of a year. Within a space of the year. from far left radicals. And I'm sorry, you've got to sit here and go, the far left that have has preached equality, acceptance, everything, no matter who you are, have carried out more assassinations and attempts than what they call the far right. We
Yeah.
have got to sit here and go, are they really total loonies? Because in my
Uh,
heart, they're starting to look at Warren.
Yeah, absolutely. I concur with everything you say there. I mean, when you preach tolerance and free speech, but only for certain people, not for others, which seems an absolutely crazy thing. That's a very sort of Stasi thing to say, a very blinkered and very totalitarian view. See it my way, or we will get rid of you. And that seems to be the message. With obviously the attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, on Donald Trump that failed, and of course now the tragic death of literally Charlie Kirk. And I will say, if he'd have had the right kind of body armor there, it would have absorbed the bullet and it wouldn't have ricocheted off. And of course, he might then still be with us. The fact that there are people online celebrating this is quite disgusting and quite ridiculous. Um, when people say, "Oh, you shouldn't have digital ID," well, sometimes you need it to put these people in prison, because to celebrate this sort of thing shows just how unhinged the people on the left are for me, Paul. And it is one of those where he was talking about trans issue to do with mass shootings and everything else, and then becomes a victim himself. This is quite shocking, and I think the repercussions of this are going to be quite incredible. Even the Democrats are scurrying for cover and using it as a reason to try and get gun control, rather than the fact that their rhetoric has helped ramp up people to doing this sort of behaviour on quite a large scale. It's not just gun violence, but physical violence. Guns don't kill, people do that. They have to pull the trigger. Oh,
Yes, I couldn't agree more, Warren. And we've got to sit here and analyze what is going on around us. Me, I'm still in a very angry phase. Me, I'm sitting here going, thank God Utah is still a state that has the death penalty. I really
yeah,
am. Because
yeah,
when we look at what is going on, it's crazy out there at the moment. It really is crazy. And
yes,
what Charlie Kirk has been doing is fighting for truth and justice. He
yes,
has. And the fact that people don't like hurty words or things like that astounds me, the society that we live in. It
it's
really
broken.
does.
Yeah, it's absolutely broken. And there's one thing that I need to say here right off the bat. We need an absolutely open, transparent, frank investigation to get the truth and to get justice for Charlie and for his family. We certainly don't need hidden with any red tape or anything else. This needs to be right out in the open. There needs to be a really, really deep search. And there also needs to be a reward offered for anybody giving any information to catching this person, because if you don't, they're going to do it again. There's no question that they were that once you do. I have to say this, and it sounds awful. Once you do the first one, after that it becomes much easier. So this person is a danger to everybody while he's at large. There needs to be a frank investigation. There needs to be rewards, whatever. This guy needs to be caught, and caught quickly. There is a massive disinformation out there, Paul, and the only reason I wanted to say, looking from a sniper's point of view, from somebody who was actually a professional that was actually paid to do this job, was to give you a dispassionate, not revved up, not angry, not going off on any wild theories, just give you exactly what you would be looking for. Because if people go off on wild tangents, suddenly it becomes harder to find the truth. Stay on the path, and as Charlie and Paul always say, stay on the path, stay direct. We are not looking for a professional killer here. We are looking for maybe a gifted amateur who practiced a lot, or maybe he was a bit of a gun nut. We don't know, but it's certainly not a professional we're looking for. So please stay on path, stay on track, and let's find this guy.
Very much so, Warren. Right, we're going to move into the other news now. And my last few words on this is, can everybody please say a prayer for Charlie Kirk's family and his children? Moving into our news for the rest of the show. In Nepal, protest leaders have proposed former Chief Justice Sushila Karki as interim Prime Minister after violent Gen Z demonstrations forced KP Sharma Oli to resign. Karki, the only woman ever to serve as Chief Justice, says her priority would be honouring those killed and tackling corruption. The protests left at least 30 dead and more than 1,000 injured, with government buildings set ablaze in Kathmandu. Authorities warn criminal groups hijacked the movement, while volunteers have begun clean-up efforts despite a military curfew.
Yeah, absolutely. It is one of those, it does need a military. It is one of those, isn't it, where everything's got to be sorted out to make sure that it gets back to normal, I would have thought, Paul.
Yeah, I think so. Let's find out what comes out of the ashes of this, dare I say it, revolution.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at this then, because this was a predecessor to basically what happened to Charlie Kirk, and we've got to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Now, this is the awful attack on Irina that Donald Trump has spoken about, and many others have spoken about. Everybody saw the actual stabbing. There is a video. We're not going to play that, same as we're not going to play the Charlie Kirk one out of, should we say, niceties towards the family. But there are five people sitting there. Every single one of them saw what had happened to her. I can understand not going and tackling the knife man, Paul Brooker, but certainly not going to her aid when she was bleeding out on the floor. It's quite disgraceful.
This is just showing us what the lefty politics have created. They've created a society where people do not stand up for themselves, where people do not help somebody in trouble, where people are feared in their own homes. We we as a society need to start standing up. And the more of these events that happen, the more people will start standing up. Because I'm sorry, the woke agenda DEI politics that have been coming about have led to things like this, have led to unhinged people being able to do things like this because it's all about the, oh, we don't want to offend them. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
it is. And looking at that, every one of those five people sitting there should hold their head in shame saying, we didn't help.
Yes. Yeah. I can understand not tackling a knife man, Paul, but not helping. It's great.
It's shocking, Warren. Absolutely shocking. On to my next story. Yesterday, hundreds gathered in Leeds in the UK for World Suicide Prevention Day to carry the baton of hope through the city. The 15-mile relay, led by bereaved families, honours loved ones lost to suicide and raises awareness about mental health. Participants like Trudy Stringer and Kate Cleal shared personal stories urging people to check on friends and open up about their struggles. Organisers Organisers say the event brings solidarity to those affected and reminds everyone that there is hope and support for those struggling with suicidal thoughts. And honestly, everybody out there, there is always someone you can talk to. There
Yes.
isn't just that way out. There is always hope. And I'm a firm believer in that because we've all been low. We've all been in low places, but hope is always out there.
It is. Just find someone to talk to, and there are plenty of people who are willing to listen. There is lots of people willing to listen to Vladimir Zelensky and to Poland when they say they've been attacked by huge Russian drones. Nothing could be further from the truth. These are dummy drones or recon drones that were interfered with. They might even be a false flag. But what they are is styrofoam that has been blown up and metal that has been put together. None of them were carrying any explosives whatsoever. And of course, Poland and NATO tried to start an Article 4. Poland invoked an Article 4, which is basically NATO giving Poland a discussion on what's gone on. It's basically should we say, NATO's form of giving someone a cuddle. So very, very simply, Poland wanted to have a chat to NATO about this. They started moving troops towards the Belarusian border. Everybody, all the EU politicians started getting out their pram. for a couple of what you might call recon drones or even decoy drones that are used to draw fire. And of course, everybody launched every plane they had, started firing at these drones left, right, and centre as though it was the 4th of July. And it was quite embarrassing for NATO because, of course, they missed quite a few of them. There was meant to be 19 drones, so they said they managed to down three. So either it's embarrassing because, of course, they missed that many of these styrofoam and metal or cardboard drones that were flying at quite low speeds. To miss 16 out of 19 is quite embarrassing, Paul.
Yes. And we all know about false flag events. They're just looking for reasons to send troops in, and they're not going to get it. There's too many level heads out there now stopping what is going on in the crackpot loony lefties. My next story across France, thousands took to the streets in block everything rallies, uniting teachers, students, and Gilets Jaunes protesters. Demonstrators built barricades, blocked roads, and clashed with riot police, angered by austerity measures by Macron's appointment of Sébastien Lecornu as Prime Minister. Protesters say inequality is rising, public services are failing, and politicians aren't listening. Authorities deployed 80,000 police nationwide, with hundreds arrested as fires and barricades spread from Paris to Lyon and Marseille. Many say this new wave of unrest reflects years of frustration and a demand for real change. Do you know what? You've got to love the French. They love a protest.
They do, and let's face it, putting Macron's stupidity was unbelievable. He can't do a deal with what he calls the far right, which is the obviously Marine Le Pen's party. He can't do a deal either with the far left, which don't like him either. So he's stuck with selecting from very few people to be the prime minister. And of course, he selects then the defence secretary, Sebastian Lecornu. I mean, you couldn't cause more of an own goal. This is a guy who absolutely wants out and out direct war with Russia. Quite staggering. And of course, Paul is completely correct. The French have just about had enough. And it's only going to get worse. Macron's approval rating is at 14%. Somebody else's approval rating, who is completely in the toilet, is Ursula von der Leyen. Now we've got two problems here, Paul Brooker. First of all, she wants a 6 billion loan, which is going to be from the ERA, and we all know that's complete nonsense. It's actually coming out of the Russian frozen assets. And of course, they keep saying it's the interest, but it's not. How can I put it? They froze it, pinched it, spent it when it comes to most of the 300 billion of the Russian assets, and they will want that back. And the second thing she tried to do, Paul, was push another lockdown and another mass global vaccine scare. And of course, she took a bath, her and her husband took a bath, and he is, of course, heavily linked to the pharmaceutical industry. He actually has his own company. And they bought 8 doses for every single person in Europe. Of course, she lost a fair bit of money on that when obviously, shall we say, her investment proceeded through the floor with epic dispatch. And now she's come up with this other harebrained idea to make an absolute mint for her husband. Nobody's buying it for a second. In fact, in her speech, Paul, somebody went to interview. She only did it for 50 seconds on this topic, and lots of people started shouting at her from the auditorium.
She is not my favourite person whatsoever. And how she's clinging to power, you've got to ask how, because she is pushing through some very dodgy agendas. My last story of the day: Mexico has announced a 50% tariff on Chinese made cars, the highest allowed under global trade rules. The move comes under heavy pressure from Washington as President Claudia Sheinbaum works to protect Mexico's free trade deal with the United States. Mexico is currently the world's biggest buyer of Chinese autos, but US officials have accused Beijing of using Mexico as a backdoor to bypass tariffs. While the measure aims to strengthen national production, economists warn it could drive up prices and add new inflationary pressures.
Yeah, absolutely crazy idea because, of course, China will just find a market elsewhere. And, of course, Mexico will end up paying more for American cars. Not going to work. The tariffs do not work, Paul, and neither do sanctions.
Oh, I don't know, Warren. I'm going to have to disagree. The tariffs seem to be
Okay.
doing okay at the moment.
Oh, really? Let's see them put the tariffs on China and see how that works out.
Very much so. And your last story of the day, Warren?
My last story of the day is one of hope to everybody out there, because this is very much, and as there are very, very many people that have got together and held all night vigils for Charlie Kirk and his family. There is a growing groundswell that people are waking up to the nonsense that has been forced down their throats for far too long, whether that be trans issues, whether that be the rights to pronouns, whether that be having a go at people just for no reason at all, getting them cancelled over hurty words. It is time for it to stop. And this event that has taken place is going to cause, I think, a seismic shift in the way that people think. Um, Anybody who can defend this sort of action whatsoever is not really anybody that should be of any consequence or listened to in any way whatsoever. And hopefully, with a bit of luck, this allows the law to be changed. And I think it is very, very simple that, how can I put this? That all the people who are waking up across the globe, not just in America, but this, of course, is going to be a catalyst for change. And let's hope that change is for the better, Paul.
Do you know what, Warren? No truer words said. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us on the news you missed. I'm sorry it's been a very somber show today, but me personally, I feel quite taken back by what's happened. Charlie Kirk was a hero of mine. I could not agree more with what his words and how he behaved. It was elegant, it was beautiful, it was respectful most of the time. There was a couple of moments, but can I just ask everybody to say a prayer for Charlie Kirk, his family, and his children on today, the 11th of September 2025? Thank you for joining us. Take care. God bless, and see you all soon. Bye now.